Hello everyone, in today's video I want to share with you how to write IFC files using web-ifc in a Node application. So this is my boilerplate. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description box. So here I have installed some dependencies, TypeScript, web-ifc and other dependencies to be able to create the global ID for our IFC entities. So here we have a simple logic to read a file that is in our assets. We can run this script just to check if everything is working just fine. So as you can see here, we have our data and this is model 0. Great. So without further ado, we can start by creating a new class in here. I'm going to call it ifc writer.ts. So just to speed up the process, I have created this ifc writer class. I have imported all the dependencies needed. I created 3 fields in here, 3 properties, the ifc API, the model ID, and the maximum express ID. You're going to see how are we going to use this a bit later. In the constructor, I have created I have initialized a function called init. And inside this, I have initialized my ifc API and set the WASM file. Also, I've created in here 2 methods that we are going to use a bit later, save model and generate the global ID. So in the index.ts, I have removed everything and just left my my ifc writer in here. All right, so let's start from here. So in the web-ifc, you can open this file. We're going to be using these 3 functions: create model, save model, and also write line. All right, so let's start first of all with creating a model. So it's in here. It takes the model, which is a new ifc model. If we scroll a bit up, we're going to find this interface of an ifc model. It takes the schema, name, description, authors, organization, and authorization. So let's put this a bit here. So just printed this. So as you can see, the schema, we can take it from the web-ifc.schemas.ifc4. I'm going to be using this as a schema to write this this file. The name I just wrote model, descriptions, demo ifc model, authors, put my name, and organizations is an empty array. So let's start by creating this model ID. So now what are we expecting is to have a file generated. Of course, we didn't save the model yet, so we have nothing. A file generated with a header section. Just to show you, in the ifc file we have 2 sections, header and data. So with this step we are expecting to see the header. All right, so here I can use my my save model function. So I can say this dot save model and I can pass a name. It's model.ifc. I'm going to leave it as it is. So if I save now in the assets, or not in the assets, just a second, where is it going to be generated? So I need to set the path in here correctly. ifc files and put the file inside. So there you go, here is our file. So as you can see, we have created a file with our header. You have the file description, file name, and file schema, and the other stuff is generated by ifc.js web-ifc. So this is the end of this section, which is called header. And now we're going to see how can we start writing our data inside this file. So back to our graph in here. So we have created our header. Now we're going to the important things, which is the data section. So inside our data, we are going to create organization, application, and project right now. So let's start with creating our organization. So I'm just going to call this org, and this is a new web-ifc.ifc4, which is my schema dot ifc organization. And in here you can see what are we going to need as arguments to create this entity. So here I'm going to start using my this.maxExpressID, which is set to 0, and I'm just going to increment it by typing ++ each time. And the second thing we're going to put is an ifc identifier. I'm going to set this to null. The next thing we need the name of the organization, and this is a new web-ifc.ifc4.ifc label. And inside the value, I'm just going to type my name. All right. So here are the next. We need to put description, roles, and many other things. I'm just going to type null, null, null. I'm just keeping things as simple as possible. So now the important thing after creating this, we need to write this line into our file. I'm going to put it right here. Whenever I save, you're going to see what is happening inside there. So here we need to use the function I talked about before. So we need to say this dot, or no, not this. Oh yeah. So we need to use the API, this dot ifc API dot write line, and we need to pass this dot model ID and the object line, which is our organization. So org. So if I save, take a look in here. There is a problem. So there seemed to be a problem with that version of web-ifc I was using. So I just deleted node modules and package log.json and went back to 39, because this is the first time I use the 40 seconds version. And this solved the problem. As you can see in here, we have created this first line in here, which is ifc organization. All right. So this was a quick problem in our way. So the next thing we're going to create is our application, and this is almost the same thing, or the same process, sorry. So there you go. This is the application. It takes an express ID. It takes the organization that we have created. It takes a label as a version. The next just a second. So version, application full name, and the identifier. So there you go. Same thing. We're going to copy this line over here, and instead of org, I'm going to pass the application. If I save, we need to be able to see, yeah, there you go. So we have created the second line, which is ifc application. All right, we have created organization and application so far. Let's go back to our graph. The project, we're going to create the project a bit later. Why? Because as you can see in here, inside the project, we need some data context, which is the unit assignment and the geometric representation context. All right. So let's start with the units. We need to create a const unit assignment. Okay, there you go. So it was created without writing this line because it's inside this array. So next we need to create our geometrical representation. All this, remember, for our project. There you go. So we have created so far our units. We have created an origin, we have created a Cartesian point to be, and a direction to be used in our axis. All right, and now in our geometrical context, these two last ones, the first one is axis and the last one is our direction. There you go. So we are done with this, and again, let's type this in here also. There you go. So we have created this. Now we are able to create our project. The second argument in project, as you can see in here, is a global ID. So here is when we're going to start using our generate global ID function that I have in here. So what I did is just used these two libraries in here to create and encode an ID, and then I used this web-ifc ifc globally unique ID to create our global ID that we're going to be using inside here. So basically just type this dot generate global ID and it's going to be added into there. In here, great. As you can see, we have this ID, the name, and the other stuff we have populated inside there. So now I think we are ready to start creating an element. The element I'm going to be creating is a column. So we are going to be creating a column. And to create a column, we need these objects: a product definition shape, a shape representation, extruded area solid, and a rectangle profile definition. So I'm going to create a rectangular column, all right? And the profile we're going to create is rectangular. We're going to create an area profile with a length and the width. And then we're going to use the extruded area solid to make this extrusion and create our solid. All right, and then from there, we're going to use it for our shape representation. And this is going to be used as product definition shape. And we're going to pass that into our column object. So we need all these steps to create our column. All right, so let's start by creating const. Let's start with a column. So just the column, and if we save, there you go, everything else is created. All right, nice. So we have created our column, but the problem is that we need to append it somewhere in our let's say building, and also we need to give it a style to be able to see it. So the video is just getting too long. I have copied over the spatial structure. Here you have the site created exactly the same way as everything else. We have created also IFC building and IFC building story. Where is it? It's here. And we have linked them with this ifc rel aggregates. So here we are linking our site to the project, and I'm using the same object since I have already written this line. So I'm using it again to override some of its properties to use it again and again. So here I'm appending the building to the site, and the same way building story to the building. And the last thing, I have created an array called elements and put column inside it and added my elements into an ifc rel contained in spatial structure. All right, and of course write all these lines. Also, I have created the last thing, which is the style. So we need to be able to view our element, we need to create style, and it goes this way. So styled item, it takes surface style, takes surface style rendering, and this takes an RGB color. I put it just above the site in here. So I'm going to leave this in GitHub in order for you to be able to see everything and experiment for yourself. So this is the styling, this is the color. There you go, it goes into the surface rendering, which goes into the surface style, which goes into the styled element, and of course write all these lines and save them. So now we need to view our model. I'm using Tangle's platform to load my IFC. And let's view this in here and see if everything is, yeah, there you go, everything is here. We have our column, we have our tree, an IFC building story. Here we have the column and the site. If you click on it, you're gonna find everything that we added with the predefined type, a tag, description, its boundings, which is level 0. And yeah, so I hope this was useful. And if you are interested in seeing how to add property sets and materials, leave a comment below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.